Hello. A very good evening to Ms. Aruna Roy and all our dignitaries, presidents, trustees, members, friends, students, and a very warm welcome to the inaugural Narayan Varma Memorial Lecture and the Narayan Varma Memorial Awards, jointly organized by the three premier institutes of Mumbai, Public Concern for Governance Trust, the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, and Dharam Bharati Mission, all of whom with which our beloved Narayan Bhai was closely associated, held various posts and mentored and nurtured them with his ideology, values, and hard work. Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day, unseen, unheard, but always near, still loved, still missed, and very dear. This program is a humble tribute to an exemplary individual, our very own Narayan Varma. The program will be in two parts. The first part will be a talk by our esteemed speaker for the day, Ms. Aruna Roy, and the second part will constitute the Narayan Varma Memorial Awards. I now call upon Chairman PCGT, Mr. J.F. Ribeiro, to give the formal address and to introduce the lecture series. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Fareen. I welcome all of you all who are present here for this first lectures in the series. And I'm sorry that you had to wait for about, from the time we called you all for tea at 5:30. So we thought that we would be able to meet and talk about our good friend, whom we miss very much, as Fareen has mentioned. He was truly a special person, Narayan Bhai, and we in the PCGT, as well as the other two institutions with which he was connected, also miss him very much. I always felt that if there were more people like Narayan Bhai who gave of himself to society and was so involved in the work that he was doing, I think this country would have been a much better place. That is why we today decided to call a person who has the same attitude to life as Aruna Roy, whom we all have heard about and who we are all very eager to hear. She's going to speak on the RTI, and she has titled her talk Audit by the People, for the People, and of the People. Because Narayan Bhai was himself in the accountant's profession. He, for years, was a very leading chartered accountant, but he gave up all that. He could have gone on and on, made a lot of money, but instead of that, he decided that he would work for the people and do social work. Many of the ideas that we have worked on, for example, the Kuch Aur project, which the PCGT runs in the schools, were all his brainchild. He would continuously think of doing something new, and then he would push everybody to do the work. There's of course another aspect. He would collect he is the one who collected a lot of money for us, and Corpus was formed through his efforts. Now that he has gone, unfortunately that thing is, I've taken over that thing. I don't know how far I can do it, but I'm trying to do it. Now, this is the lecture series that we intend to have in his memory. He was absolutely passionate about the RTI. He would write those little booklets And I don't know, I hope at least the law college students read those booklets. We have these interns throughout the year who are trained in the RTI, how to use it, what it means, how it affects, and has an antidote to corruption. Because, you know, the Lokpal, I don't know whether the Lokpal will ever get off the ground, but if it does, whether it will only become another big bureaucracy. But the right RTI is certainly an instrument to fight corruption. And we are doing it every day. And we know how well it works. And that is what, and Aruna Roy was the pioneer in this. He is the one who actually brought out the draft bill, which was later adopted by Parliament. I think we have to salute her and for this great work that she has done. With this few words of introduction, I would like to invite Aruna Roy, our chief guest and speaker for the day, Ursula, our Narayan Bhai's dearly beloved wife, and the president of Raman Chokakar and Paramjit Singh, please, of the Dharam Bharati Mission and the BCS. So please come up. We'll just light the
Thank you. Request all presidents and Ms. Aruna Roy to be seated on the dais, please. Thank you. It is indeed an honor to have with us today Ms. Aruna Roy. Ms. Aruna Roy, known for her efforts to fight corruption and promote government transparency, is an Indian political and social activist who founded the Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan, a social and grassroots organization for the empowerment of workers and peasants. She also served as a civil servant in the Indian Administrative Service before deciding to dedicate herself fully to social and political campaigns. She was instrumental in the enactment of legislation in India, guaranteeing the rights of citizens to scrutinize official records. A nationwide grassroots campaign launched by the Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangatan led to the adoption of the right to information laws by 9 states in the early 2000s, and a national right to information law was approved by the Indian Parliament in the year 2005. She was also awarded the prestigious Raman Magsaysay Award for Community Leadership. I request Ms. Aruna Roy to please give her keynote address, as everybody is impatient to hear her today. You want me to? Is this okay? Yeah, it's fine. You want to hold it?
Yeah, I think so. I'll hold it, I think. Mrs. Verma, distinguished friends of Narayan Bhai, my friends on the dais, I come to you with mixed feelings today because, like all of you, I would have wished Narayan Bhai to be around forever. It was with great sadness that we heard that he'd passed away while we were on the road, literally, in Rajasthan, looking to see how we could fashion a law for accountability, because every time we pass new laws, we look for other laws, because we are people who fight non-violently through civil disobedience to get our fundamental constitutional rights. And it was Narayan Bhai who heralded off this 100 days yatra in Rajasthan with a generous donation of 2 lakhs. But it's not only money that linked us to Narayan Bhai. What linked us to Narayan Bhai was his tremendous commitment, his extraordinary energy, and the wonderful person that he was. I actually come to pay tribute to Narayan Bhai. I don't know how much of a memorial lecture this is going to be. And in coming here, I thought how appropriate it would be to talk about audit. Because what is right to information? It is the collection of data to do a democratic governance audit of the country that promised me many things when it came to be, when it drew up the national constitution, and where we, the people of India, gave to ourselves so many rights which we have not yet realized. But that's not to say that India has not progressed. And I do not agree with today's popular narrative that India did nothing except in the last 2 years. India has done many things. And I have this extraordinary friend, a Dalit friend, who taught me my rural women's, workers' politics, who taught me so many things. She became the Sarpanch of her village. She's traveled widely. She went to New York to release the biannual report on behalf of what was then called, there was a different name for UN Women. She went to release their biannual report. She addressed Ban Ki-moon, and she came back. She was a rural Dalit woman, and what it gave to her, what has happened to her in the last 69 years of our life has been extraordinary. So I don't want to begin with the pessimistic and doomsday prediction voice that normally we use. We only look at negatives and not look at positives. India has done a great deal, but there's always much more to be done. And as we grow as a democracy, as we grow as a nation, we understand that much more has to be done. And I think the right to information law happened in many ways because of people like Dorothy, because of so many people who are at the cutting edge, who realized that without transparency and without accountability, their lives would be in shambles. It was not a middle-class perception, it was a working-class perception which found its way into the legal system of this country because we are a democracy. And I want to say that. And in the world today, India's Right to Information Act is really seen as a special act because it was given by the people of the country actually to Parliament to fashion and pass. And it was not just me, it was many others. And in the recognition of the many others, for me, Narayan Bhai was an extremely important person. He joined us on this journey, and when he came to us, मैं हिंदी में बोलूं, अंग्रेजी में बोलूं, थोड़ा मिक्स करूं? हाँ, तो जब नारायण भाई हमारे साथ जुड़े थे उस समय पहले देखने से इतने पतले, इतने बुजुर्ग इंसान, तो कभी कभी लगता था कि हम इनके ऊपर शोषण तो नहीं कर रहे हैं, कहीं ना ले जाते, सड़क पे बिठा देते, कभी ऐसे जगह ले जाते जहाँ कुर्सी भी नहीं होता, तो हमें लगा कि पता नहीं हम इनके ऊपर शोषण कर रहे होंगे। इतने उनकी हिम्मत, इतना आदर्श, इतने अच्छे सोच, और उनको कभी भी ये नहीं लगा कि गरीबों के बीच में हैं, कि अमीरों के बीच में हैं, कि मध्यम वर्गीय लोगों के बीच में हैं। हर जगह वो बहुत खुश थे, तो हमें लगता था इनके ऊपर हम बहुत जाप्ती करते हैं। मगर नारायण भाई से हमने ये सीखा कि वो हर किस्म के व्यक्तियों के बीच में डल जाते थे। He was a man of many parts. He was equally happy with people like you and me. He was very happy with the poor people. He was very happy with ordinary right to information activists. And he was literally a person who belonged to all of us. And that was an extraordinary thing of Narayan Bhai, that he could really metamorphose into a person who belonged to many kinds of groups. And today in इस कमरे में जो हम लोग बैठे हैं, अलग अलग किस्म के लोग बैठे हैं जिनके लिए नारायण भाई ने हमारे दिल छुआ, हमारी ज़िंदगी को कहीं ना कहीं छू के गए। और आप देख सकते हैं कितने अलग अलग किस्म के लोग आज हम यहाँ पर बैठे हैं। So but the point is that Narayan Bhai was also very youthful, and he's taught me a lesson which I hope I've learnt, that youth and old age are not associated with chronology, but how much interest you take in contemporary matters. And I think in that interest in contemporary matters, he was much younger than many young people whom I've met, and he was wonderful. But he was also a part of the old world. He was a strict disciplinarian. He used to get angry when commitments were not kept, and in that he brought the best of the old world into the new world. And I think I'll remember him, especially for the scoldings we have all got from him periodically when we have not kept our word. He was an extraordinary comrade, friend, a colleague, benefactor, and so many wonderful things. कबीर कहते हैं कि कभी जन्मते हैं तो हम रोते रोते जन्मते हैं, दुनिया हंसती है। हम जाते हैं तो हंसते हंसते जाते हैं और दुनिया रोती। आज यही हालत है कि नारायण भाई शायद अपने पीड़ा से मुक्त हुए, उनके शरीर में पता नहीं कितनी कामियाँ थी, मगर हम लोग दुखी हैं क्योंकि इस किस्म के लोग हमारे समाज से कम हो रहे हैं और हमारे सामने ऐसे लोग नहीं मिल रहे हैं जो कर्मठता के साथ नई चीज़ों को लें और उनको आगे बढ़ाएं। तो मुझे लगता है आज कबीर के दोहा मन में सोचे हैं नारायण भाई के लिए, तो बहुत अच्छी बात है। मगर इसके साथ साथ हम जो कहते हैं वो जब तक वो मूल्यों को हम जागृत रखेंगे तब तक नारायण भाई जिएंगे। नारायण भाई की रहना या जाना इस पे स्थित नहीं है कि वो शारीरिक रूप से हमारे पास हैं या नहीं, मगर उन मूल्यों को जागृत रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है। इसलिए हम जो नई पीढ़ी के हैं, जो जवान हैं, जो आदर्श दुनिया और देश को देखना चाहते हैं, उनके लिए नारायण भाई के सोच, उनके विचार, उनका व्यवहार, उनके मिलनसार, उनका जो चरित्र था वो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। I do want to talk a little bit about why I chose this topic today, audit by, for and with the people. Well, what is information? Information is a birthright of every citizen of this country when it belongs to the state. Information, that state information, by right is my information. Because when I elect somebody to power, I cast my vote. I cast my vote for an individual who takes with him my sovereignty and guarantees me. It's not trust. We talk about deficit, trust deficit. It's not trust deficit. It's a social contract. He's not my father whom I vote to power, though unfortunately in some cases it may be. It's not my brother. It might, of course, still may be, or my son or my daughter. It's a person whom I think is most equipped to deal with public issues and give me what was promised in the Indian Constitution of equality, justice, fraternity, and my right to an equal life socially, economically, and politically. So when I vote that person to power, I really transfer my sovereignty. But for many years, we didn't know how to translate that sovereignty into ordinary public action. Every time we asked for something, it became a confrontation, and it was extremely easy to label us Maoists, label us extremists, label us terrorists, in today's language, terrorists, or we could be anything, or we could be people who are seditious. The mere act of questioning had no place in the Indian political and Indian social economic system for many years. We are a feudal country, we have been a feudal country. We really do not know the act of equality in existence, divided by the caste system, divided by religions, divided by languages, divided by every conceivable kind of factional identity, and of course by gender. So in this entire system, what could bind us together to bring all the people who sought justice, who believed in equality, who believed in the fact that we were all born to be equal, we didn't have the access to equality, but we were all equal. In this entire machination of the distribution of power within our social and economic structure, many of us have had lack of access to things. Some of us have had access to everything. I shouldn't complain, because I was born under circumstances where I accessed everything. So I don't have many complaints. But somebody who has been kept away from all kinds of resources, including life and living resources, have a lot to complain in this country. So how do you accept and operate and make function the sovereignty that the Constitution has guaranteed me, in which I exercise through my political right? This concerned and excited and made angry people like Narayan Bhai when he saw injustice, when he saw corruption, whether he saw arbitrary use of power, and we saw not only the state, but even in society, what we do to each other. It brought us to a point where we felt we couldn't stay away. नारायण भाई का सबसे महत्वपूर्ण काम मैं सोचती हूँ कि बम्बई के सारे नागरिकों के बीच में उन्होंने ऐसा एक उत्साह पैदा किया कि उन लोगों को आकर लोगों के बीच में काम करने का, अपने घर बार छोड़कर, अपने एसी के कमरे छोड़कर, गर्मी में पसीने में जाकर लोगों के लिए काम करना। अरे भाई, हम तो भरपेट खा रहे हैं, किसी और के लिए खाना नहीं है, किसी तन में रखने के लिए कपड़ा नहीं है। वो एहसास करवा के वो जो बराबरी का जो सपना दिखाया था हमें, और हमारे संविधान में लिखा भी गया है, उस बराबरी को पास पहुंचने के लिए, उसको हासिल करने के लिए उन्होंने हम सब लोगों के लिए रास्ता दिखाया। मगर तरीके हमने बहुत ढूंढे। एंड आई वांट टू नाउ टॉक अबाउट सम ऑफ द सिस्टम्स that the right to information has brought to all of us. Today, between 60 to 80 lakh users use the RTI. In terms of millions, between 6 to 8 million users of the RTI every year. In that annual use of the RTI lies the secret of its success. It's become another habit that all the RTI activists, when they get together, including many in the audience and I, will always beat our breasts and talk about what it hasn't done. So that every journalist who interviews me never asks me what the RTI has done. He'll always ask me what it hasn't done. So I think in memory of Narayan Bhai, of his life, and to celebrate the wonder of his existence, I would like to talk about what the RTI has actually done. For one thing, you cannot touch the RTI today. No government, no parliament can touch the RTI today without getting huge reactions. And the previous government tried to amend the Right to Information Act, not to bring political powers under its ambit. About 10 lakh signatures arrived overnight in the Prime Minister's office from all over the country. There were, social media was used, there was messages, there were, whatever you call it, tweets to all the parliament members, forbidding them from touching the Right to Information Act. The current Prime Minister went to Bangalore and said, what is the RTI? It's nothing. It's no use. It doesn't give you food. It doesn't give you shelter. What is the use of the RTI? But he also hasn't been able to touch it. Because if you touch the RTI today, you touch a huge cross-section of India and you really affect lots of people. कभी-कभी मैं हवाई जहाज में तो आई हूँ आज. मैं एक झोंपड़ी में रहती हूँ गाँव में कभी-कभी. मगर हवाई जहाज में तो आती हूँ. तो कई हवाई जहाज में कोई एयरपोर्ट में मुझे मिलते हैं कोई शख्स, तो हर किस्म के लोग मिलते हैं और सभी लोगों के लिए आरटीआई ने कुछ किया है. हम तो सोचते थे गरीबों के लिए बहुत कुछ किया तो है ही। हमारे लिए अनाज मिला है, पेंशन के दुकान में पेंशन मिल गया, हमें सरकार से पेंशन मिल गया, हमें बैंक ने दे दिया, पोस्ट ऑफिस चोरी करता था उसको पकड़ लिया, हर जगह हमारे लिए फ़ायदा है। मगर इट इज़ ऑल्सो हेल्प्ड all those people in civil society who occupy very important positions, but who have somehow been very perturbed about the lack of justice, the inequalities in implementation or in the maldistribution of power and corruption. And they've all had some benefit of the other. And every time I fly, I meet 3 or 4 people who come to me whom I don't know at all, but who say to me that the best thing that's happened in India is the RTI. And one person went so far as to say that there are 2 Indias, one before and one after the RTI. And one person in Jodhpur, a lawyer, a journalist, who celebrates Independence Day not on the 15th of August, but on the 13th of October when the Right to Information Law began to be practiced. So for us, the people of India, this law has meant redistribution of power. It's an extraordinary thing because we talk about redistribution of land. We talk about redistribution of water, but no one has talked about the redistribution of power, which is what the Right to Information Law actually does. What it has done, it has looked at the system and has redistributed power. And how has it done it? Apart from the law itself and the commission and the various instruments of the law, of the Right to Information Law being implemented, we've been able to really look at the process of government auditing. And that's why I think it was so special for us that someone like Narayan Bhai associated with us, because he was, in essence, a person who knew the principles of auditing, the value of auditing, and the process of auditing. पूरे इस कार्यकाल में 10-11 साल में क्या किया? आपने पूछोगे कि सूचना के अधिकार ने क्या किया? सबसे पहले तो सारे सूचना को बाहर लाकर उसको विश्लेषण करके सरकार को अपने जगह ठिकाने का काम हमें सूचना के अधिकार ने किया है। इसके पहले मालूम ही नहीं था कि कितने तो कुएं हैं गांव में, कितने तो वो सड़कें बनी हैं, या आपकी म्युनिसिपैलिटी में कितना पैसा आया है, कौन सा सड़क बना है नहीं बना है, कुछ ही पता नहीं। जब मालूम ही नहीं तो आप क्या मांगेंगे? तो द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग, द इंफॉर्मेशन टू स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग द नीड फॉर अ गवर्नमेंट ऑडिट, not merely financial audit, but also in terms of policy or in terms of priority. Do you really need to do this, or do you really need to do something else? In Delhi, women audited the money that the MLA had spent on public parks and fountains when they didn't have water at home. The moment they found out that with the MLA fund, he was using the money for fountains, they held him to task. They said, we don't have drinking water. What the hell do you mean by having fountains? So the auditing is not merely the financial use of the money, it's also in what you spend the money for. So there are some systems that we have contributed into the world lexicon, and I would like to mention those 2 or 3 things. One thing that is now popular all over the world is the concept of a social audit. I'll come to it in 2 minutes. So what do I mean by audit by, for, and with the people? Financial audit is done for the people by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, by audit institutions that are set up. You do it for somebody. So the Comptroller and Auditor General of India does it for the entire expenditure of the country, which is incurred by the central government, and he places a report in Parliament. If you look at what began with the right to information, began with what was a Jan Sunwai, or a people's audit. The people's audit looks at it as what you would do with by the people. So the by the people, the concept of that it is an audit organized by the people of government when it doesn't register what it does. One small example, in a contemporary example, कि लोग 2 चीज़ें हैं. एक तो जन सुनवाई था जो लोगों ने आयोजित किया कि भाई हमारा ऑडिट हम करेंगे. फाइनेंशियल ऑडिट होता है, हम किसी के लिए करते हैं, सरकार हमारे लिए करवाती है, किसी और के लिए करवाते हैं. ऑडिटर्स के ग्रुप्स हैं जो किसी के कंपनी का, किसी संस्था का ऑडिट करते हैं. मगर हमारा जो सामाजिक अंकेक्षण वो है क्या, इनसे आया. अभी एक पीपल्स ऑडिट हुआ, एक उदाहरण देती हूँ. इन राजस्थान वी ट्रैवल टू दीज 100 days, all the 30 districts of Rajasthan. In the 30 districts of Rajasthan, we heard complaints everywhere
We set up these desks, and Rajasthan has now got an internet portal called Rajasthan Sampark, where you can register your complaints on the net. So we had thousands of complaints registered on the net. On the last day of those 3 days in every district, we met the collector and the heads of the departments of that various departments of the collector of this district in a meeting. We collected enough information to bring up two very important things. One, we said, how could the present government just slash 7 lakh old age pensions? And they had declared, according to that information we received, 3 lakh people dead. The other thing we raised was the issue of silicosis. I don't know if you know that there is a disease called silicosis, which is worse than cancer and worse than tuberculosis. It comes basically from mining and the imbibing of that dust. People die at the age of 35 and it's incurable. District after district, because Rajasthan's income comes from minerals, mining, we found enormous number of cases. What happened with the pension cases? I'm going to tell you very briefly because of lack of time. Auditing took place in a public dharna or a protest in Rajasthan, where we got people to come to Jaipur and tell the government exactly what was happening. We had 2 days of a public hearing, a Jan Sunwai, and on the second day in the afternoon, we went and met the Chief Secretary and we met the government of Rajasthan, who, despite the fact that they may or may not recognize us as equals, had to listen to us, because this information was culled from their own websites, from their own people, from their own systems. We went to them and said, you cannot declare 3 lakh pensioners dead. There is some problem with the way you're collecting the information. This information may be familiar to some of you if you've read the Times of India. It was front page news about 15-20 days ago. It has been, Hindi mein aap padhte hain, pension nahi dene wali baat, Bhaskar mein front page mein aaya, kai jagah aaya. What happened? We took just the information of the village panchayat where MKSS is located, and we went and we looked at it and we found that all of the 40 people declared dead, 29 were alive. So the caption in the Times of India was dead people living, or living dead people, something like that. So this is the kind of audit that information allows you to actually do. The collector had to come, the Rajsamand collector had to come to our village, she had to meet the people, she had to visit them, and she had to get their pensions back. What happened with their pensions not being there, they're being declared dead, they became non-persons. They were non-persons, so they couldn't get not only rations, they couldn't get pensions, they couldn't get any benefit of the government of Rajasthan because they were dead on record. मरने से एक जगह मरने से तो कोई बात नहीं, मगर सभी जगह मर गए एकदम, कुछ भी नहीं. और एक लड़का जिसका एक हाथ कटा हुआ है, उसको भी डेड डिक्लेयर कर दिया और उसको कह दिया कि भाई तुम उंगली नहीं लगाओगे तो तुम्हें वो पॉस मशीन पे तुम्हें कुछ मिलेगा नहीं. उसका एक हाथ तो था ही नहीं, और ये रूल कहता है कि दोनों हाथें लगानी चाहिए. तो एक तो उसका हाथ लगा दिया, एक दूसरे किसी जाने वाले व्यक्ति को कहा भैया तू लगा दे हाथ, तो उसकी हाथ लग गई. तो कैसे इसको कभी पैसे मिलने वाला है क्या? तो कह दिया ये तो मर गया, ये तो झूठा नाम दिया हुआ है. So that kind of power of people's audit, which forces government to recognize its own mistakes according to its own norms, has been a great power which has come through the sharing of information. The third thing is the social audit. The social audit was, and those are the two words now that are popular even with the World Bank. They're popular all over the world. They're talking about social audit. Social audit was what the Right to Information campaign lobbied for, saying that you have to institutionalize this. You have to make quite sure that there are systems that will do this audit that we do in an institutionalized manner, where government will take full responsibility for it. The first instance was the MGNREGA, which institutionalized social audit. That's how you know about all the corruption in so many villages, because it's institutionalized it, it's mandatory, it has to be done. The government of Andhra Pradesh has done an excellent job, their website is excellent. Even the government of India has one of the best websites, is the Ministry of Rural Development website. If you go to that website, you can click right to the last person in Assam, in a village in Assam, village in Nagaland, village in Tripura, in Kashmir, anywhere, and you will know how much money has been spent, who has got the money, and whether it's a job card, and everyone accesses it. And Sanjay Sani, who accessed it in Delhi, who belonged actually to Muzaffarpur in Bihar, went with that information, and today he's got a huge organization of people who protest at the misinformation and the siphoning of money. So technology has been wedded well with people's rights, where it is not foolhardy and stupid like the POS machine. The POS machine has a million problems. I can't go into it today, but like you and I, we don't have fingerprints, and workers don't have fingerprints. So it begins with that, and it ends at some other bizarre point. But today, I don't have time for it. What has happened now is that the CAG, the Comptroller and Auditor General, has now recognized social audit as a part of the mandate of the supreme audit institutions. So today they say, and I'm on a committee now in the CAG's office, where it recognizes that social audit is vital for looking at expenditure in this country, not only making sure that money has been spent, but to assess whether money has been spent for the right cause, at the right way, with the right people, and doesn't marginalize the poorest of the poor, doesn't marginalize the people for whom it is meant to. And India is growing slowly into what we all wanted it to be, a participatory democracy, where democracy is not for a fistful of people, but for all of us. And this could not have been possible if we had not learned from people like Narayan Bhai what the force of an audit process is, what it is to do a thing with rigor. The Right to Information campaign has succeeded because we have not compromised on rigor. And Narayan Bhai, for me, epitomized that kind of rigor, and he was very important to us as a concept, even if he didn't come everywhere to take part in our various issues. I'm going to end. I know that I've taken a little bit of your time, but I would like to say that the right to information has come to stay. And in conflict-ridden Kashmir, when I went there 3 years ago, and I saw that the Toshi Maidan, which is a Maidan which has been occupied by the army, which has been used for years as a training site, and it killed lots of people because of the grenades, because of so many bullets and so many things. People didn't want it there. In conflict-ridden Kashmir, they got rid of the army from the Toshi Maidan, and they got it back for the community to use as a grazing land. There are huge stories. I can't go into all those stories, but there are so many stories. There are case studies, and there are facts and figures. And I think those of us who belong to the RTI brethren here in this audience and on the dais know that it has a million problems. But these million problems only prove that it is being implemented, it is being used, and it's important to us. Now, I will just end with quoting what happened when we went to Bhilwara, which is a small district in Rajasthan, and went to a huge Dalit meeting. People who are, well, you know what's happened in Gujarat, you know what's happened everywhere else, you know, they're still socially completely unacceptable. They are treated like animals. So we went to a group of young Dalit boys who had been really at the worst bad end of the stick. They couldn't study without being discriminated against. They had million issues. And we asked them, मैंने हमको पूछा इन दलितों को जो इनके साथ हमारी मीटिंग हुई कि भाई क्या चाहिए आपको, एक कानून, कोई जवाबदेही कानून बने इस देश में, तो क्या चाहिए आपको? तो उन्होंने 5 चीज़ें कही थी. उन्होंने कहा हमें जानकारी चाहिए. सबसे पहले तो जानकारी चाहिए. उसके बाद हमें सुनवाई चाहिए. जानकारी तो मिल जाता है, फिर क्या बात है, किसी को सुनाना तो पड़ता है, तो हमें एक सुनवाई चाहिए. उसके बाद हमें कार्रवाई चाहिए, क्योंकि कोई तो कोई उसके ऊपर कुछ करे तो सही, तो कार्रवाई चाहिए. फिर हमें भागीदारी चाहिए. हमें ऐसा नहीं चाहिए कि कोई बंद कमरे में बैठ के कोई कुछ कर रहा है और हम जो हमारे ऊपर हम मुल्जिम हैं, हमें हमारे ऊपर जो हुआ जाता है, हमारे ऊपर करा जाता है, हमें ही दोषी ठहरा देते हैं और उसको तो छोड़ देते हैं. इसलिए हमें भागीदारी चाहिए. फिर उन्होंने अंत में कहा हमें सुरक्षा भी चाहिए, क्योंकि अंत में जो करता है उसी को मारा जाता है. आपको पता है कि 52 people have died who asked for information in this country, and there were people like you and me who were shot dead. In Maharashtra, you've had many deaths. In Pune and in Bombay, in Gujarat, outside the High Court, people have been shot dead who were information seekers, who were asking for information on vital issues. So today we need Suraksha. So how do we get this? So in this, what has been placed on the table outside by Bhaskar is a draft law. And in this draft law, we ask for punishment and punitive action against people who don't implement whatever has been brought out as proved cases of mismanagement, of deviation, of corruption by government. It's a latter-day Lokpal bill, and I don't have the time to go into it. I hope you will look at it and you'll come back to us in one form or the other and we'll talk about it. But it talks about a charter where everybody will put out what they're going to do, and any violation of the charter should be punishable, including RTI violations, including NREGA violations, food security violations, civil rights violations, gas rights violations, violations in municipalities, which just now go with impunity because no one cares. So that impunity has to be stopped and there must be accountability. To bring that accountability law, we've been working, and Narayan Bhai was with us, and I'm really sorry to have lost him because he had been a strong voice of support in Mumbai for us along with the other friends who are here, and we really feel it's a big, extraordinary big loss. मोहन जी हमारे एक कवि थे और हमारे साथी भी थे, वो एक गाना गाए और वो आपके भाषा में वायरल हो गया, क्योंकि हमारे कानूनी बातों को कौन समझता है। हमने कहा सूचना का अधिकार का कानून चाहिए, तो जाने वाले सड़क में लोग सोचते थे ये पागल लोग हैं, ऐसे बकते रहते हैं। मगर मोहन जी ने एक गाना गाया था, उन्होंने कहा, डरना मत, मैं गा नहीं रही हूँ, आपके उनकी शब्द सुना रही हूँ। तो उन्होंने कहा कि पहला वाला चोर भाया बंदूक से लड़ता था। वो अपने भाषा में बोले, पहले वाले चोर भाया बंदूकाओं लड़ता रे, मतलब पहले वाले चोर तो बंदूक से लड़ते थे, अब्बे वाले चोर तो कलमाओं लड़े रे, मारे रे। उन्होंने कहा अब वाला जो बंदूक डकायत है वो कलम से मारता है, तो हमें कलम से मारने वाले से हमें मुकाबला करना है। तो ये सारे कानून ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि हम बंदूक से तो लड़ेंगे नहीं, हमें तो शांति से लड़ना है। तो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम इससे करें। तो आज़ादी सही मायने चाहिए, और वास्तव में हम लोगों को अपने कर्तव्य का पालन करना है, तो हम लोगों को जो देश के जो काम हैं उसमें जुड़ना पड़ेगा। हम अभी भी ऐसे हैं, कई सारे मेरे दोस्त मित्र जो कहने वाले जो कहते हुए बातों को सुनते हैं, खुद कुछ जांच नहीं करना चाहते, कुछ समझना नहीं चाहते। लोकतंत्र को चलाना है तो हर व्यक्ति को चलाना पड़ेगा। I'll end with a quotation from Jeremy Cronin, a famous writer, poet of Africa, of South Africa. I've oft quoted it, so I'll quote it again. I think some people are new in the audience. You don't mind if I repeat myself. That he said, what is democracy? He said, democracy is speaking truth to power. Democracy is speaking truth to power, making truth powerful and power truthful. And that sums up Narayan Bhai's life.
Thank you, Aruna ji. I think you woke us all up today. At least I woke up to a lot of things. Thank you for this inspiring and thought-provoking address, for sharing with us what the RTI has done, the hows and whys of RTI, for educating us on social audit, on the power of people's audit, for sharing with us the experiences of Rajasthan with the Dalits and the other parts of India, and for making us realize how we as an Indian can rise up and use the right to information to bring about a change which we always say that the government should do, but which you actually have shown us that it is in our hands. I think that I will start reading that book on right to information, which is lying for, I think, 2-3 years on my bookshelf now. And thank you, lovely audience, for hearing Ms. Aruna Roy. And now we can have questions from the audience. We'll just pass the mic around. 2 or 3 quick questions. Anyone from the audience?
This law.
So I think we're going to hear about the accountability law from Ms. Aruna Roy.
I think it's a failure on my part because the right to information law provokes us to ask questions. There should have been at least one question from the young people at the back. एक तो प्रश्न पूछते, हाँ?
Hello. I would like to know what is maybe done for campaign finance reform and the right to information for campaign finance. Yeah. Sorry. My question is about campaign finance and what the right to information for campaign finance. Campaign finance. Campaigning and who's financing the campaigns and. Thank you.
Actually, we did ask for the political parties to be brought under the Act. And actually, they do not have. The first draft of the RTI law, which we made, asked for everyone who used public funds to be brought under the law. But the government kept keeping people away, dropping private companies, kept dropping political parties, and also dropped NGOs. Now they brought a new law under the FCRA in which they have also brought them under the Lokayukt and the Lokpal bill that they have brought in, saying that NGOs are now liable if they get 1 crore of rupees from government and 10 lakhs from foreign sources. But they didn't even bring the NGOs in at that time. So political parties must absolutely be in if corruption is stopped. But let me ask you all, I mean, you're not probably from this country, but there are many of us who are from this country. When the money bill was passed in Lok Sabha, how many of us read the money bill? The problem is that the money bill says now that actually your CSR can be paid into a political party fund. The social responsibility, which was coming to the money which was reserved under the CSR, for good work to be done by citizenry, much of it will now flow into the coffers of the political party. And the political parties are fighting to say that they will not disclose their funds. In fact, they wanted to amend the right to information law 2 years ago to say that they would not disclose funds, in fact, and there was a huge uproar, and about 10 million people in this country wrote to the Prime Minister of India and wrote to the Parliament, and then they stayed it. But it is like democracy's sword. It's hanging on our heads. Any time now, they may bring back any other kind of ruse to amend the law and to make it more weak. And I think we'll have to keep fighting it. And that's why probably we need an accountability law now, to make sure that we prevent them from taking irrational decisions, making unethical compromises, and giving India a bad deal. And now, as citizens, it's our job, at least slowly now in the last 30 years, we've realized that it is not somebody else's business, it's my business. So all of us are involved in the act of governance, and that's been one of the biggest contributions of the RTI, the use of the RTI law to India, that we have realized that governance is not the issue of IAS officers, it's not the issue of people who, pardon me, some of us are IAS officers and other officers who get salaries and sit in air-conditioned rooms. It's my business. If I sit and vend vegetables on this pavement in Mumbai, it's also my right to govern, to make sure that governance doesn't take away my rights, that doesn't take away my legitimate rights to live. Because if it does, then what's the use of a constitution and what's the use of this country having democracy?
Thank you, Arunaji. Any more questions? Okay. We have a
quick one. So far, we have been asking for information and, filing RTI request and all that. Is there a movement where soon we will have more and more information available suo motu coming from all these departments who are spending crores of public money, and it's available in a format which is easy to decipher and make sense for a common man? Is that coming into the mainstream where we will not have to ask for it, but it's there and we can access it?
It's under, yes, it's under Section 4 of the Act. Every single ministry and department has to put out all the information it has in an understandable form under 17 subheads on the website or on a public platform somewhere else. The only department that has done it completely is the Ministry of Rural Development, which has at least put out the MGNREGA's entire information on the website, but this government has slashed a part of the information which is old, and we hear rumors that this is going to be slashed further because the Swaraj Abhiyan, which is a breakaway of the Aam Aadmi Party, filed a case in the Supreme Court of India on drought, on the MGNREG, and the non-work and the lack of access to these basic laws. And in that, information that really made the Supreme Court take a position against the government was culled from its own website. So when the Solicitor General, or the Advocate General or Solicitor General, I'm a little confused now. The person who was in the court on behalf of the government said, where did you get the information? So the lawyer for the people was standing up, said, from your own website. Okay. So my younger colleagues who were standing at the back heard a whispering conversation between two senior members of the government saying, who, where, which information? From us? We have given them too much information. We should now stop it. In the Rajya Sabha, there was a debate recently where all the political parties got together and said, it must have been a moment of insanity which allowed us to pass the Right to Information law. We should try and reduce the amount of information we share. Friends, we are all RTI activists, or at least people who join movements which help transparency and accountability. We'll have to fight for Section 4 to be implemented. And if you start this campaign, I'll join you. We will also start at other places. India should really do a major campaign for Section 4. Why not start it from Bombay? And the other thing is that we must absolutely understand that the Right to Information law is the pain and bane of every member of the bureaucracy. Harsh Mandar, another IAS officer who resigned, went to the academy to talk, and he was told that you and Aruna are the two betrayers of the civil service because you fought for the Right to Information law and you branded us forever with... Anyway, so the point is that people in power always don't want to share. With very strong exceptions. There are people who have been extraordinary, like Mr. Shankaran. There were so many people. They're like Santosh Mathew. There have been so many wonderful friends in the service. But as a class, they do not want to share information. And I think even NGOs don't want to share information because there is a fear that if you share information, that you are going to be held accountable. But the point is, if you spend public money, of course you're accountable. How can you not be accountable if you spend public money? So I think India's preoccupation with corruption and its obsession with money going wrong, which is the discussion in every chai shop, who's corrupt and who's not corrupt, can only go if we have more information out. And I totally agree with you that we should fight for this to get Section 4 out in the public domain. I think you should lead this campaign in Narayan Bhai's memory.
Thank you, Arunaji. So I think we've got a new venture with Raman leading it. Okay, and we'll all join hands. It is Narayan Bhai's birthday tomorrow. And it is in that memory, we have for the past 8 years always celebrated his birthday. All the three organizations in some way or the other have spent time with him on his birthday and celebrated with him. So now we come to the second part of today's program, and that is, in that memory, the Narayan Verma Memorial Awards. Awards are important as they help us recognize and honor individuals who are unique in their field. For this, I request President of Dharam Bharati Mission, Mr. Paramjeet Singh, to introduce and enlighten us about the thought behind these memorial awards.
Good evening. Good evening. This one. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Narayan Bhai was 85 years old when he left us, but those of us who know him very closely know that he was very young at heart till his last breath. He came from a not very affluent family, and when he came to Bombay, he did not have a roof over his head and didn't have the means to support his education. But he wanted to become big and wanted to do a lot of things. He met good and generous benefactors who helped him, and soon he reached the dizzying heights in his professional career as well as in the social standing. He was not just content with becoming a good CA or getting married and settling down. He was a visionary, and whatever institutions he joined, he tried to do a lot of good work and path-breaking work there. Professionally, he was associated with Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, where he did a lot of good work. Our dear friend Pradeep Bhai has written a very beautiful tribute in the latest issue of Bombay Chartered Accountants Society Journal, where he has mentioned about all the amazing work that he did for the improvement of his fellow CAs, for benefiting them. Similarly, because he was beholden to the society at large, he was a part of a lot of charities. But it is with Dharam Bharati Mission that he found his true calling. And he helped us a lot when we were building Dharam Bharati Mission brick by brick. He helped us. From giving his own office for our use to connecting us with a lot of institutions and like-minded people, as well as coming up with unique projects and relevant projects that will benefit the society. And lastly, similarly, because he was passionate about RTI and governance, he was associated with PCDT, and there also he did wonderful work. So therefore, when all these three organizations met and to deliberate as to what would be the best way to carry forward his legacy, we decided that we should constitute an award which would honor and acknowledge other individuals who, like Narayan Bhai, are not only doing good at their chosen careers, but also doing a lot of good for the society at large. We would identify souls who are improving their work areas as well as trying to do new things for the society. And therefore, we not only constituted just one award, but 3 awards. Every year, Bombay Chartered Accountants Society would nominate one successful chartered accountant who is doing wonders in his jobs, as well as doing a lot of service for the society. Similarly, Dharam Bharati Mission would nominate one person who is again doing very well in his chosen career and benefiting the society at large. And PCDT would nominate a person who is doing good in RTI and governance areas and benefiting the society. So today, we are here to present the first Narayan Verma Memorial Awards. And I'm very sure that Narayan Bhai will bless us this humble initiative of ours. And may this venture of ours motivate all of us to do more and more for the society, wherever we are in whatever field that we are doing, and give till it hurts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. The first award will be presented by the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society. The Bombay Chartered Accountants Society is the largest and most respectable independent voluntary body of chartered accountants in India with more than 9,000 members. Established in the year 1949, having published the journal for more than 45 years now and pioneered professional learning through its seminars, workshops, residential refresher courses, and interactive techniques. The Society has completed its 67th year on the 6th of July 2016. This Society disseminates knowledge to members, builds skills and networks amongst them, and encourages them to adhere to the highest ethical standards of professional integrity. The Bombay Chartered Accountant Foundation was formed on the 23rd of May 2002, and the principal activity of the foundation is to apply its income and the corpus to various public charitable purposes such as relief of poor, education, medical relief, rural development, and other objects of general public utility. One of the major activities of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society today is the RTI Clinic. Late Mr. Narayan Verma, who was also an active RTI activist and one of the founder trustees of the foundation, was vigorously pursuing this activity. Mr. Chetan Shah is the present president of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society. He was co-opted as a committee member in the Committee on Corporate Governance of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in 2009-2010. Today, he is not present with us as he is traveling, but we have with us the past president of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, Mr. Raman Jokhakar. No, you should know about him, right? He's a man with many facades. I mean, we enjoy sitting and listening to him. A third-generation CA with more than 19 years of post-qualification experiences in auditing, corporate law, taxation, personal finance, and business consultancy on a broad range of issues and clients. He is a member of the BCAS, and as I've mentioned, he has served as the president 2015-2016. He has co-authored a book on corporate audits containing detailed audit procedures titled Audit Checklist for Companies, and a publication service, Tax on Business Auxiliary Services and Business Support Services. I request Mr. Raman Jokhakar to introduce the awardee from Bombay Chartered Accountants Society.
Friends, I'm delighted to present the profile of the awardee. And somebody just mentioned about people who have succeeded. And in the age where we live, where people describe success in a very different way and sometimes in a very constrained way, we have the person whom I'm going to talk about with great delight is Mr. Rashmin Chandulal Sanghvi. And the profile I have is not a technical profile, not the success in the way the CAs normally talk about. But here are a few things that he had two dreams. One was to help at least 100 Indians become experts in international taxation and FEMA. And second dream was to help 100 beggars become financially independent. And since 1987, he has been pursuing both these dreams, and he has been living them to the extent that he has made it come true. He has worked in 3 areas in particular, which I would like to mention. The first is on water management, which he started way back in 1987. He started helping hutman dwellers from Wadala in Mumbai to Kutch, to Surendranagar, to Valsad, to Dharampur, by building check dams and doing so many different activities that today so many people in so many places, which I just mentioned, have benefited tremendously by having access to basic things like water. The second activity that he has passionately contributed was through the BCA Foundation, where he started in 2001 when Gujarat was hit with a serious earthquake. Rashmin Bhai participated along with Narayan Bhai, Pradeep Bhai, who is here, with Mr. V.H. Patil and several others, to help rebuild a small part of that state which required help. In 2004, he continued again with the help to the tsunami victims. And all this help was not sitting here and sending some money. That help involved reaching that place, being there, and working in the field. This was in spite of being a successful chartered accountant and running his practice. The third area which requires special mention was in year 2010, where he met Ms. Mittal Patel, and since then he has been supporting an NGO, Vicharta Samuday Samarthan Manch, which gives nomadic communities their identity and grants them their fundamental rights, which the Constitution provides them. He is deeply interested in spirituality, and although he has been advising very rich clients on complex matters, on tax and FEMA, he has also been doing this wonderful work which we think makes him a successful chartered accountant and a successful human being. I will request Pradeep Bhai Shah to receive that award on behalf of Rashmin Bhai because he is traveling. And I'll request Ms. Aruna Roy to do the honors.
Very strange feeling. I've always been a follower of Narayan Verma and also a follower of Rashmin Sanghvi. So in both the places, giver as well as receiver, I am there as a follower. Rashmin has sent a message which I would read out. He writes, I am honored in receiving the Narayan Verma Memorial Award, especially because it is in the memory of late Narayan Bhai, who till the last days of his life was thinking about others, helping others. This is a special privilege. My sincere thanks to BCS Foundation, Dharma Bharati Mission, and PCGT. I thank God for making me an instrument in His plans to provide relief to the poor people of India. I thank my parents who implanted the Seva Sanskar in my mind at an early age. Real credit belongs to several social workers who have dedicated their lives for the welfare of the people. I am extremely sorry for not being able to personally accept the award. I had agreed almost 2 months back to make a presentation at the conference organized by the Institute at Chennai on 19th August evening. Many thanks for Pradeep Bhai for it was why he wants to thank me. Friends, one of the greatest ability of Rashmin, I have been working with him since almost 15 years, is that he can go down to the poorest of the poor and be one with them. And it is not just writing checks or sending money, but it is being there with the people, understanding their problems, and helping. I will put it this way, that sometimes I would say that it is a case where he does charity before earning. Straight away money goes from, and he's been a wonderful person, and I am very happy that BC has chosen to give the award to him. On his behalf, I once again thank the authorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep Bhai. The second award will be presented by Dharma Bharati Mission. Dharma Bharati Mission is a not-for-profit voluntary organization working with relentless effort for the overall improvement of human lives, irrespective of age, gender, religious beliefs, caste, or ethnic origin. Although initially the focus of the organization was only on dealing with the issue of hunger, the experience at ground level drew to light that along with providing meals to arrest malnutrition and child mortality, we also need to address issues that are the background reasons which are actually preventing our progress and development. Poverty, lack of proper health facilities, lack of education and awareness, lack of employment and income opportunities are only a few to name. So in order to address the issue of hunger and create ultimately a hunger-free India, DBM felt the need to address the issues that act as obstacles on the path of holistic development. With this agenda in mind, DBM expanded its horizons to include programs on education, economic empowerment, community development, employment, and so on. With a modest beginning of providing midday meals in one school to 50 children every day, in the last 7 years, the organization has grown to a commendable force having its own infrastructure facilities in providing education, healthcare, livelihood skills, empowerment, placement, and today, even senior citizen activity centers. I would request Mr. Paramjeet Singh, under whose able leadership and who is the Commissioner Income Tax Mumbai, this organization with the methodology of begin with self, begin small, begin today, and which is focused on promoting responsible citizenship and working for the cause of a hunger-free India, to please introduce the awardee of Dharam Bharati Mission.
Dharam Bharati Mission takes a lot of pride in presenting the first Narayan Verma Memorial Award for selfless service to society to Professor R.S.S. Mani. Professor R.S.S. Mani is a founding member of the ITM family and has completed over 25 years of association with the group. He is acknowledged as one of the pillars of ITM and has been largely responsible for its phenomenal growth over the last 2 decades into one of the top 50 business schools of India. He is currently the Vice President, Institutional Development, and leads various initiatives there. He is widely acknowledged as an institution builder and a renowned out-of-box management thinker. An alumnus of the prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences, he was a gold medalist in the MBA Human Resource stream. He has had a very successful stint in Wipro and HR and teaches as a full-time faculty for 5 years before joining the ITM group. He is highly regarded as an HR guru in the HRD circles and is also a highly respected authority in the area of career planning and guidance for students, faculty, and executives. He is a mentor and guide to many professionals and has helped thousands groom their careers. His career guidance columns regularly appear in all the leading newspapers and online forums. He is on the advisory board of several institutions and NGOs working in the field of education. He has been awarded a lot of awards. He has been acknowledged by the Times of India for his stellar contribution in the field of management education and also for ensuring educational opportunities for the underprivileged in 2007. In 2008, he won the Samaj Shakti Award, and 2010, the Dr. P.N. Singh Foundation Award for his outstanding contribution to education and community service activities aimed towards enhancing educational opportunities for the underprivileged. He has also won the Higher Education Forum Best Teacher Award in 2011 from the Sheriff of Mumbai, Dr. Indu Sahni, for his outstanding contribution in the areas of HRD, career planning guidance. In 2013, he was awarded the Samaj Ratna Award for his outstanding contribution to several NGO activities in the area of education all over Maharashtra. And in 2015, recently, he has been recognized by Business Excellence and Research Group of Singapore for his outstanding contribution to management education in society. But again, there is much more to all this technical information that I gave you. He is humble to a fault and always willing to help. He is a mentor to many charities, including Dharam Bharati Mission. And from the very first project that we launched in 2008 in Govandi area of Bombay, he has been there as a pillar with us, guiding us like Narayan Bhai was there. And it is not us only, there's a lot of charities that he regularly helps selflessly and tirelessly. In fact, his nickname among all the NGOs is Santa Claus. He's always there to help whatever you want. And his undying commitment to work for the privileged people. He epitomizes all that is beautiful in humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor R.S.S. Mani.
Good evening, everybody. The good news is the match of PV Sindhu is slightly delayed, so don't worry, we can finish well in time. Dignitaries on the dais and all of us present in the audience, it's a very humble feeling to receive an award like this, instituted in the memory of someone who actually I met when Paramjit Singh rightly said at the first project of Dharma Bharati Mission, when with the help of Gemini Foundation, we set up a library in Govandi, and that was the first time that I met him. We continued to interact with him, and as everyone has already said, he inspired us tremendously. We feel great that what started in Govandi as a journey, with Narayan Bhai's help and support, took Dharma Bharati Mission right up to Panvel. And the last major activity where all of us were involved, including Narayan Bhai, was setting up a DBM ITM Health Center at the ITM Institute of Health Sciences in Panvel. And this center is now slowly growing, blossoming. And I'm sure with his blessings, it will become a sought-out place where we try to provide medical support for the underprivileged. Just to quote, at just 50 rupees for consulting and a week of medicine. And this entire initiative, which was blessed by Narayan Bhai himself, he came there with great difficulty. I can still remember that day in the morning, but he was there to bless us, and I'm sure it's going to take us to greater heights in reaching across to the community. Thank you, Paramjit Singh ji, for all the good words. Fareen is responsible for calling me popularly as Santa Claus. It just keeps reminding me every time that I need to lose weight. Anyway, Christmas is far away. All I can assure you is on behalf of my institute, ITM, we've also begun a very useful initiative, thanks to the support of my management, and that is trying to provide education to the underprivileged, trying to provide employment opportunities for the underprivileged. And Dharma Bharati Mission and several other leading organizations have already started sending students to us. I want to just use this forum to share with all of you, if you come across deserving children who are at least 12th standard pass and are looking for further studies, are looking for part-time employment, want to do any course after graduation, please reach out to us. In the world of Google, reaching out to me is not very difficult. Of course, Paramjit and Fareen can connect you with me very, very easily. If you come across any deserving student, I want to use this platform to, through an open invitation, we at ITM will be ready to support them till as much time as they wish to study. Graduation, post-graduation, further studies, any student who is deserving and is not able to afford education, we will make it affordable for them. This forum, in memory of Narayan Bhai, I thought was a right opportunity to share this little thought. After listening to Ms. Aruna Roy, I'm really tempted to just share 2-3 very, very small things. In the field of education, for the first time, thanks to all the wonderful work that the RTI team and all her supporters and all the people who made it happen, there is a concept now in all educational institutions, which is mandatory disclosure. And I think this is a fantastic thing that has happened, because all of us know it's very easy to hoodwink a student on promising the sun, moon, earth, universe, and not giving them even the basic facilities in the organization. We used to joke around when we went in inspection committees to inspect and audit other institutions, and particularly engineering colleges which mushroomed in India. People used to say, college achhi hai kya? So we used to say, achhi, wahan laboratory ki baat nahi, lavatory bhi nahi hai. So that was the state of education as it mushroomed. And this concept, like mandatory disclosures, etc., have made the customer, the student, a little more aware that, look, this is what is to be expected and this is what is available. Another very, very important thing when we talk about NGOs and social audit was discussed. I think one of the biggest advantages of the social audit is people like you and me are now become more aware as to what actually is the NGO doing with our contributions. Because many a time we come across NGOs, no offense to anybody, and I don't want to point fingers, sometimes the cost of administering the support and aid is much more than the aid itself. And I think this is a terrible thing that one can do, and this is a terrible thing that is happening across the country. For every 1,000 rupees I contribute to charity, I think as part of the social audit process, I want to know how much is actually reaching the beneficiary. And I think I demand this as an answer, and all of us do, and thank you. And I think social audit is demanding answers to such questions and making the entire approach of reaching across to the community much, much more meaningful. One last thought. I read this online just day before yesterday, and it struck me so much. I thought it's useful to share it with all friends and like-minded people. अभी हमने रक्षाबंधन का त्योहार धूमधाम से मनाया, जैसा हर साल करते हैं. किसी ने पूछा, ये रक्षाबंधन हम जैसे मना रहे हैं, कहते हैं कि भाइयों को बहनों की रक्षा करनी चाहिए. ये रक्षा क्यों चाहिए? किसी ने पूछा, रक्षा करने की ज़रूरत क्या है? अगर सारे मर्दों ने अपनी नीयत और अपनी सोच महिलाओं के प्रति बदल दी, तो रक्षा की क्या ज़रूरत है? बंधन ही काफ़ी है. And I think this is very, very important in our society. One side we ill-treat women, and second side we promise to take care of them. I think there's a terrible, terrible paradox, hypocrisy. I hope all of us, in memory of Narayan Bhai, as we have gathered today, promise him that we are going to do as much good as we can, in all the ways we can, to all the people we can. Thank you once again for this honor. I'm humbled. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mani. The third award is presented by the Public Concern for Governance Trust. The Public Concern for Governance Trust is a registered trust founded by some caring and committed people having the experience and the expertise to access legal solutions, mobilize public opinion for larger participation in the cause of good governance, to ensure just and transparent implementation of the law. It upholds and supports any effort made by the common man against undue exploitation. We have with us Chairman PCGT, Mr. Julio Ribeiro. He was the Commissioner of Police Mumbai in the 80s, and later he was sent especially to tackle the communal disturbances in Gujarat and terrorism in Punjab. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan for his work. He has been involved in social and charitable work after his retirement 20 years ago. I request you, sir, to introduce the awardee.
The PCGT trustees decided we don't have people who have worked for us for years because we are just a new organization. So the other two organizations have had people who have been associated with them for 25 years, so they have already got so many awards. Our awardee is getting the award for the first time. And she is a student because we work with students. We want the students to inculcate ethics, morals, and we work with them in the colleges and also even below that in the schools. So we have these interns who come and stay with us for a month. And they come to learn about the RTI and how to use it. That they do. But besides that, they also go and help us out with the children to spread the message of ethics and morals. Because that is how we think that corruption can be fought. Because if their parents and others are not going to be influenced, let them at least be influenced and influence others in their lifetime. So we have a very young girl who came to us as an intern, and then later on her own. Interns come for a month because that is prescribed by their rules of the university. But she came of her own accord and worked with us for various times, besides her own studies of chartered accountancy. So here is Jeenal Sanghi, who has been with us and has been working with us. And I think she will win many awards in future. So I can't tell you what award she's going to win. Probably she'll win many. But at the moment, this is whom we wish to
Since Jinal has worked very closely with Narayan Bhai also, she has something to say.
As a student of chartered accountancy, I can tell you one thing that Narayan sir has taught me: never give up. I should admit this, that I haven't cleared my CA final exams, and it's not only my parents' dream to see me as a chartered accountant, a qualified one, but also Narayan sir's dream to see me as a chartered accountant. He's told me, never give up, Jeenal. Please continue giving the exam, and I'm sure you will qualify as a CA. I want to thank everybody at PCGT, from Ribeiro sir to all the trustees, to Ursula ma'am, and yes, Narayan sir. My parents, my sister, my family, my friends, my colleagues who are sitting there, everybody at PCGT who's given me so much of support and have actually helped me improve. A short poem for sir, I'll just read it out. As I look back over time, I find myself wondering, did I remember to thank you enough for all you have done for me, for all the times you were by my side to help me and support me, to celebrate my success, to understand my problems and accept my defeats, or for teaching me by your example the value of hard work, good judgment, courage, and integrity. I wonder if I have thanked you for the simple things like laughter, smiles, and times we shared. Gratitude, if I have forgotten to show my gratitude enough for all the things you did. I'm thanking you now, and I'm hoping you knew all along how much you mean to me. Thank you, Narayan sir, and I miss you a lot.
Thank you, Jinal. Today, this program has been a humble effort by PCGT, BCAS, and DBM to pay homage to our very own Narayan Bhai, who has left his mark in some way, somewhere in our lives. His diligence, persistence, a positive go-getter attitude, deep compassion, humanity, and his exemplary work in every area is remembered by all of us, and we hope that today and this day every year we will be able to join together to pay him a fitting tribute, and we will carry forward the legacy of humanity that he has left behind. Wo jab yaad aaye, bahut yaad aaye. Thank you, Pradeep Bhai, for sharing this line in the journal, which I have picked up. Thank you, Aruna ji, for your valuable time and for honoring our awardees and blessing this inaugural function. My request to the three presidents of the hosting organizations to felicitate Ms. Aruna Roy. You'll come this side. Thank you. I now call upon Mr. Raman Jokhakar, past President, BCS, to conclude the program with a vote of thanks.
Respected Ms. Roy, Mr. Ribeiro, Mr. Paramjit Singh, and all the friends and family of Narayan Bhai. I want to thank you all for being present today and making this special effort for being here. And congratulations to the professor and the student, and also the sage Rashmin Bhai, who is not present physically here. We all remember Narayan Bhai as an accountant who worked for accountability, and such accountants are truly rare, who live their values, who breathe that values, and who spread those values throughout their long lives. There are also people like him who believe in the good, who are good and who do good. And all these three attributes, when they come together, they really create miracle of sorts. And in some rare one, these three really shine brightly, and that was what we saw in the speaker for the day this evening, Ms. Aruna Roy, who has been one such person. We are grateful for all the work she has done, and we are very grateful for her to have spared this time and come here and spoken to us about a few things that we can learn and adapt and also work on. The amazing work that she does, and from whatever little I know, really is protecting the spirit of our Constitution, which is the gift that our freedom has given us. And through information and now through social audit, by bringing in transparency and accountability, and by institutionalizing all of this and embedding it through the use of technology, she has really done great service to all of us and the generations yet to come. So I request all of you to please join me in thanking Ms. Aruna Roy. And I request you all to stand up, and we'll end with the national anthem.
Thank you.